look, there were certain people that when I knew enough people that had spoken to somebody, I knew whether it was worth wasting my time to try to interview them or not, or whether I would just get whatever story that was likely to be told. So I just didn't bother.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Can I ask about, would you say that Clark Gable was one of his best friend? Who was his best friend, Nelson's?
Well, I would say in the early film years, Gable was the guy that he hung out with. They did a lot of stuff together. I don't think he saw Gable much after the film years, though. He said that Otto Kruger was a good friend of his. Otto Kruger was in A Knickerbocker Holiday. I don't know why they were friends. I don't know the story behind that. I wish I had known, because I think Otto Kruger, was he married to Alma Kruger? I have to look it up on IMDb, because Alma Kruger, who I think was in some of their films or something, she was at the Motion Picture Home and I met her. I'm pretty sure that was her, and I didn't know anything about a connection, or I would have asked her about Nelson.
But he didn't actually do any acting with Clark Gable, he was just mates with him?
He was in Dancing Lady, which...
Dancing Lady, 33.
He came in and sang a number. And that's where I think that he first met whoever the people were that he met in Hollywood. Like, okay, he met Gene Raymond at that time too, and I was like, well, where does that connection come from? And that came from the fact that Clark Gable had just made Red Dust. And so, they were, I don't know, they did all whatever their sports were, and, things that they did together. That's probably how they met.
That movie's got a incredible history, hasn't it? Because Fred Astaire's first appearance and
Three Stooges. Yep. Yeah, it's interesting. And I mean, I think that Nelson, I think people say, well, Nelson, Eddie and Clark Gable, they were unlikely friends, but I think that Gable liked Nelson's maverick sense of humor, and that he wasn't going to be Louis B. Mayer's yes man, and he was so sort of sincere and hokey and corny and didn't really fit in the Hollywood scene, and I think Gable just thought that was just really fun. He liked that about him. So, but they were really, really good friends. Yep. Yeah, good questions. Any other questions?
But that friendship sort of ended when...
It ended when...
Nelson left movies.
Yeah, it ended when Nelson made some comment later to Diane Goodrich. So he said it around 1951. He said it was just when I left Hollywood, all my friends, that was it. And I don't know if it was so much that his friends abandoned him or he just sort of abandoned the whole scene. I'm not sure, but he didn't seem to see much of any of the Hollywood people after that, I don't think.
What about Jeanette? What about her friends?
I don't think she had a lot of friends, real friends. Like, you look at all of the people that were in her, Ginger Rogers and Fay Ray and all those people that were in her wedding. She wasn't really friends with them. Maybe they were here and there at a party, but it wasn't, I don't think she had a lot of really close friends.
Was Irene Dunn one?
Irene Dunn was one. And I think Lily Pons.
And Norma Shearer?
I don't know that she was that close to Norma Shearer. I mean, maybe because Richard Halverson, who became her butler and driver, had worked for Norma Shearer the summer before she came to Jeanette. So probably Jeanette met him, at Norma's house. But I don't know that she had that many friends that she really confided in. Irene Dunn. I think Irene Dunn.
Do you think Anna MacDonald would have controlled all that?
I don't think Anna MacDonald would have controlled her friends. I think she didn't have much of a life to do a lot of stuff outside of the films, and if she socialized, it would be mostly the people that worked on her films or people in the music industry. I think mostly I think her sister Blossom was the one that she
Yeah.
probably confided in the most.
That's her name.
Because Blossom, to a great degree, could be trusted not to blab, but Blossom blabbed anyway, you know? So, but I think she blabbed not because she was just trying to capitalize on her sister's life, just because she just thought the whole thing was outrageous. And I think Blossom was always trying to like, well, let's get it out in the open and let the chips fall where they may. More of that attitude. I don't think on Nelson's side that he had any real family friends that felt that way, and they were all into covering things up. And it's hard to understand the climate of the times as it was then, but if you look at what happened last summer, when there was that whole blow-up between the stars of Twilight, Robert Pattinson
Yeah.
and Kirsten Stewart. Now, I don't know if they're a real couple or they're not a real couple and they just signed some deal saying we're going to date for X period of time so that it looks good and we can promote our films and whatever. Okay, that's what you read, and maybe it's true and maybe it's not true. I don't know. But it doesn't matter. What matters is in the public eye, when that thing blew up last summer and those photos of her hanging out with her director surfaced, the amount of hatred and rage that was turned against her, and they're calling her a trampire, and it was just unbelievable. And you can bet that Summit Films was like, oh my God, how is this going to affect, Breaking Dawn 2? What is going to happen? Is the whole thing going to blow up in our face? And, they had to do damage control because the overwhelming emotion of the fans that are so invested in that, it just could go totally haywire. And I'm sure that in the Jeanette and Nelson day, it was the same kind of thing. The same thing where if they came out and said, yeah, we are dating or something, it could totally backfire, and you could have the wrath of fans who didn't like that, or the wrath of the Nelson fans who hated Jeanette, or vice versa. You just don't know how it would have played. To us, it seems like, well, of course they should have just said something. But you don't know how fickle the public can be in a situation like that and turn on. A lot of the Nelson fans turned on Jeanette when she married Gene, and they totally now sided with Nelson, and they only liked Nelson, and so there was some of that, but it wasn't as bad as it is today, where you can stick it up on Twitter and in 10 seconds it's already all over the planet. It's a different world. So I don't really know. I don't know. But I know that Blossom really wanted, she always thought it was stupid that they hit the story. She always thought that somehow it should just break open and let the chips go where they may, and then at least they wouldn't have to live a lie, and they didn't have to live that way. That was her thought.
She wanted her sister to be happy, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
Was it better after the This Is Your Life in 52?
I think it was better, you mean in terms of Jeanette and Nelson together? Or just the
Just
public?
acceptance, maybe. Well, I guess it wasn't.
Well, I think if they had run off together, quote unquote, I think the public would have, they were past their peak, and although there would have been tremendous interest, I don't think it would have damaged any career, because Jeanette wasn't doing much anyway, and Nelson wasn't either. Everything had sort of fallen apart. So they could have just reinvented themselves and probably would have had a lot more interest in what they were doing, in my opinion. The only reason they didn't was because Nelson couldn't or wouldn't get a divorce, and he wanted Jeanette to go off with him and sing or go to Australia or do whatever they were thinking of doing, or make a movie or do something, and it never happened. And so I think it kind of just went whatever, and he went off on his way with Gail Sherwood.
Also, he wanted Jeanette to go to Australia with him.
Yeah, 53 or 54, there was some big thing about, Nelson announced he was thinking of going to Australia, and somehow it fell through with Jeanette, and then they backpedaled on it. I don't know what happened. I don't know why. I never did find out, and I have no letters to explain the rest of the story, so I don't know the answer. What happened?
Her heart problem prevented a lot of things though, didn't it?
Yeah, but I think Nelson took that personally, like this was the one chance to like make it right, and then she didn't do it again, you know, and it's just, when you build up on just one hurt after the next, it just, after a while, it's just too much, you know. I think they just got to a place where they just couldn't, you know, deal with it like the way it had been before. Any other questions?
Yeah. Did you ever get the Chocolate Soldier?
You mean the movie?
Yes.
It's out on DVD now. You,
Because I have something for you.
oh,
You know,
What?
I don't come empty-handed. I come
Oh.
late.
Okay.
oh, this is for me, oh, thank you. Well, thank you very much.
You know,
Thank you. Thanks.
You know, he sings the Shalap in the Flea.
Song of the
Song of the Flea.
Yeah, right in that. So we'll see. I think.
It's wonderful.
Yeah, and the music is just excellent. I mean, any of you saw Chocolate Soldier?
Oh,
yeah.
We've probably all seen
Yeah.
it about 10 times, 50 times.
You know, the reason I know they did is because the chocolate is all eaten up there. So.
Wow, yeah. I haven't seen it since it's come out on video. Is it a good print?
It should be, but
Okay.
it's not open yet. So
Okay.
if any of you want to
Yeah.
see part of it or some of it, it's,
Yeah.
it's up to you.
Okay,
Great.
great.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's a shame he didn't do more roles like that, because he really cut loose in that.
Yeah, he was great.
Yeah.
He was terrific.
Well, I don't know. I wish they had gone on another 10 years. You know, who knows what they could have done with the films, at least once they weren't like trying to do Son of Naughty Marietta, you know? Although I have no problem with that, but, you know, hopefully like a lot of the other stars who in the late 40s kind of morphed into different kinds of roles, you know? You would have hoped that they could have just continued on, but I guess it wasn't to
There was
be.
a lot of great musicals in the 50s with
Yeah.
the more modern music. You know, Howard Keel and all those
Right.
movies, Ann Miller.
Yeah. Well, some of those were remakes of the Jeanette Nelson
Yeah.
ones.
Yeah.
But they never did Blossom Time, the music,
No.
they recorded that one song from Blossom Time, and
Yeah.
they never did that, and it was beautiful.
It's really sad when you look at all the films that they were talking about doing that they didn't make. And then Nelson sits down and starts writing treatments and scripts, and they didn't make any of those either. So, you know, it's just irritating. It's irritating. I remember, you know, when I would read through the letters that the fans wrote each other in the mid to late 40s, and a lot of them just got really irritated with them, and we're so tired of waiting to hear when they're going to do something, and they just gave up. You know, it's like, forget it. You know, if they ever make something again together, we'll check it out. But you know, here's Elvis Presley or something. You know, it's like they just moved on somehow. You know, because they were disgusted. They didn't understand what was going on.
Well, it was Crescent Carnival, East Wind.
Yeah, Jeanette optioned Crescent Carnival, and I actually haven't read it. Has anybody read it? The book
Ann did, didn't she?
is the book any
Ann
good?
had it, I believe. She had one of them.
Okay.
We'll have to ask her.
I have
Yeah.
the book.
Is it any good?
I haven't touched
You
it.
haven't touched it. Yeah, we should just read it and figure out how it would be. If you read it, let me know what it's like.
Yes, I will. Yeah.
So, was it the personal relationship that got in the way of them making the films, or was it just
Yeah.
the business at the time? There was less interest in their type of music?
There was less interest, but if they had produced themselves, they could have still gone to Warner Brothers and Paramount wanted them. So I think if Nelson had said, okay, first of all, he wrecked the deal at Universal, and I don't know what happened there, because they were supposed to make a film at Universal after Phantom, and she did that little clip in Follow the Boys. Why is she suddenly a Universal star? You know, I mean, out of the blue, she's in a Universal film. When that didn't work, then they wanted to get into producing themselves, and they could have released through anywhere, United Artists, or, you know, done a joint venture with Warner's or Paramount that wanted them. I don't know why they didn't do it. I have no idea. from a professional point of view, I think that the personal thing just bogged him down too much. And she was all busy trying to get pregnant or whatever she was trying to do, and trying to force his hand with Anne, and Anne is doing whatever she's doing, and Nelson's, doing things like, well, I, sing and I see Jeanette's face in the clouds, and, and it's like, oh great, this guy's completely nuts, I mean, it's like, I think they were going through so much stuff that he was able to hold on to doing a radio show, and that's about all he could manage for a couple of years.
He had her on the radio show a bit, didn't he?
Yeah, she was on a lot, yeah. Yeah.
What was East Wind about?
I don't remember what East Wind's about. Does anybody remember what it's about?
There was, I don't know if it's East Wind or Crescent Carnival about taking place in the South. There was a Southern officer, of course, the daughter of a plantation owner, and then a brigand.
Okay.
And, who was supposed to marry who. Now, I don't know which one that is. I think Ann told us that.
I can't
Or
remember,
somebody gave us a brief synopsis.
but I remember, I think it was East Wind, and I think that DeWitt Bodine was the one that was either writing the script or the music. Because I interviewed him at the Motion Picture Home, and he told me that Jeanette and Nelson came over to the house,
Right.
and Jeanette accompanied herself and Nelson on the piano, and they sang part of the score. I mean, they had meetings. Oh my God,
This
Crescent
is-
Carnival.
This was given to me by Anne Billingsley.
Ann.
Wow, a woman's passions can lead her down strange paths. Well, yes indeed. Yeah.
Is that true?
Sounds hot.
Can that happen?
Yeah. Oh, listen to
Now,
this.
you mean
You mustn't kiss me again unless you've told me. Are the bracelets rhinestones? No, they're diamonds. But you gave one to her, and they're a pair. Did you buy them for her? Patty looked with distaste at the shining band that she had been so proud to wear. How could she be happy with something or someone that belonged to another woman? Broken vows and broken hearts mingle with the gaiety of New Orleans and Crescent Carnival. Jeanette personally optioned this book.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the rosary was another one that they wanted.
Yeah, well, the
to-
rosary would have been perfect for them, I
It
think.
was wonderful.
Yeah, that rosary I think would have been great.
Ugh.
So, and it would have gone more toward what I think they were trying to do, which is not just have a musical, but, sing in it, to have it go along with the actual story, instead of stop the movie and let's sing a song.
Yeah.
Although we would have liked them to stop and sing, we wouldn't have cared, the fans wouldn't have cared.
No.
But I think that they just wanted to do something a little more intelligent,
Well,
maybe.
the rosary is wonderful.
Folk music.
Yeah, wow. I can't believe it was never made. I can't believe they didn't do anything, it's so frustrating.
Love to see Shelley up.
Yeah, he would have been good as Shaliapin, and the way the way the script ended with him playing himself as the young Nelson Eddy, that would have been great. Just, what a shame that it wasn't done that way. Alrighty, one last question from anybody? Alrighty, I guess we will end off then, and,
I
yes,
just have an announcement.
announcement,
Henry, come. I want to introduce you.
okay.
Through the generosity of this gentleman, Mr. Henry Hom, there's a lot of Kibler products in the foyer, so you're welcome to take whatever you want.
Thank you.
Please take the time to bring it home.
Thank you. Thank you so much. All right, guys, so thank you for coming. It's been a great afternoon, and we'll see you again soon, and we've got a meeting coming up in May in Pittsburgh, I think, and June in LA, if you can get to LA.
I'll try and make it.
Yeah. And I'll keep you posted on any other books, magazines, everything else that's coming down the pipe, okay?
Thank you, Sharon.
This is the certificate.